The Liberty Weekly podcast is brought to you by Tom Wood's Liberty Classroom. Sick of losing arguments with your statist friends? Fear no more. Now you can vanquish your intellectual foes with courses taught by top libertarian professors. Tool your intellectual arsenal and enroll today by navigating to www.libertyweekly.net/Liberty Classroom or by following the link in the show notes page.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Liberty Weekly podcast. I'm your host, as always, Patrick McFarland, and this is a special Thanksgiving edition of the podcast. It's a little late. It is Thanksgiving Day right now. This might come out later tonight or tomorrow, but we have a very special returning guest to the show.
I've been downgraded to guest. Pat.
Are you the co-host still?
I don't think I can be.
Well, the door is always open whenever.
All right, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, this is the first time we're appearing electronically together, so
yeah.
Beforehand,
we're no longer civil enough to get around each other in person. We can only do it remotely now. We can't be in person anymore. We just tear each other's faces off.
Yeah, we hate each other. So I had Thanksgiving dinner with my family. No politics came up, although they wanted to. Like
they were asking.
No. I suppressed it inside myself. I kept the beast at bay.
God, the Thanksgiving in the last couple of years, I've got the Thanksgiving events that I've gone to have been among peers, and I've gone with my roommate, and my roommate wants to start shit isn't quite the right way to put it, but it feels like that to me. But he's like he wants to disagree with people, and so people start talking about politics. Especially last Thanksgiving, it was people talking about Trump and whatnot, and then so he is arguing with people. And then what always happens is that, so he likes to disagree, right?
Yeah.
So we argue a lot about things, and then he'll start arguing about something with someone else, and then suddenly grab me into the conversation, and I'll be defending a point that he's disagreed with me on before. And so suddenly he agrees with me now anyway.
Well, Jerry wants to legalize prostitution too.
I've had very exciting times at Thanksgivings because of my roommate.
That's so funny. Yeah, I didn't bring anything up. I thought about saying something about the genocide in Yemen right now. We're sitting here eating turkey. That was delicious, by the way. And I had a hand in making. But yeah, talking about starving cholera-stricken children in Yemen, but I don't know. I kind of let it be. Well, because my sister knows that I love to rant about politics because I've always done it. And so last week I posted a meme on her wall that was like, it was Kermit the Frog speaking to evil Kermit. And it said, no, just be quiet. And then the evil Kermit is like, tell them you want to legalize heroin and prostitution.
Yeah.
And then my grandma commented. Other than that, it was a pretty good Thanksgiving. I know you had to work. I'm sorry.
Yep. Yeah, I did. But in the least bad way working on Thanksgiving can be. So it's not good, but it's less bad than most people think.
Well, my wife had to work too, so we left her in the cities. Or I left her in the cities.
Abandoned.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad, but what are you going to do? I'm not going to not come home.
Yeah.
But it's like, for me, Thanksgiving is like a nice breath before I have to do my finals. And then so I come home, and then when I come back, I'm ready to go, like recharge. So
that's good.
So yeah, what have you been up to? I know you said you've been doing a lot of research and stuff. Is this for our D&D campaign?
Yeah, this is D&D. Yeah, I've been maybe spending in. I'll say this: it isn't efficient research. It's more research like I'm like, oh, this is neat. oh, this is cool. Okay, what's over here? This is cool. Yeah, that's what a lot of my free time has been. Actually, it's been just reading about a lot of stuff. A lot of minutia, things like that. Like I told you earlier, but recently I've been learning about the North American buffalo, or bison, and then after a day or two I'll be doing something else. Honestly, that's what I've been doing with my free time right now, because the rest of my time is working a whole bunch, which is okay. It's all right, because that's just my pound of flesh is given in these 2 months of the year, and then the rest of the year is really chill. So
yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, I think my wife was saying that it was really dead today, even though they made her work Thanksgiving, and they're making her work tomorrow. Well, I guess they're not making her because it's voluntary.
Yeah.
But didn't you say that you were doing some research on like merchants guilds and mercantilism and stuff like that?
Not in recent history. That was that's something that I do think is really neat. Like, only very recently have we even have people even begun to like get economics, I don't know how else to put it, or understand intellectual property in something kind of like close to what we do now. And so I am going to actually, there was like during the French Revolution, there was a big tome written that had a whole bunch of trades knowledge, and like how to be particular craftsmen, and a whole bunch of people took huge offense to it, saying that it was like stealing their livelihood. That's just like really bizarre to us, but at that time it was like, no, this is something that this profession, I don't know how else you put it, but like this it was believed to be owned by a group of people, and it wasn't something that was allowed to be given away. And I know that there's a lot of fighting between guilds over who's allowed to produce what. So it's like, oh, there's one guild that's dedicated to quilting, and not like making of quilts, but like the process of it. Does that make sense? And then there's I just remember reading a particular piece of armor, or something used to support armor, that there are documents of like two guilds fighting over who had the right to make it in a particular city. And it's just it's really bizarre that like people would, it's not even like a patent. It's not like something that this is something that we designed. It's just only one group of people is allowed to do it. That's just how they saw it in this context. One group had the right to do it. That's really bizarre to us, and thankfully that's gone away.
Yeah, well, wasn't this a government gifted right to a monopoly?
Oh yeah, it definitely was enforced through the state.
Yeah, well, because I was just thinking, so I don't know, I've kind of alluded to this in the last few episodes of the show that I've done, but I had a days long Facebook argument with, and Daniel chimed in so essentially, I haven't talked with you about this, Jerry, but essentially Daniel is has his fingers in a whole bunch of different ANCAP communities on Facebook and stuff. And one of them it's named Aberdolf Linkler, and it's this group of ANCAPs and libertarians and voluntarists. There's about 16 of us, and all we do is raid threads. Yeah. Or we'll chat with each other, and then, but the main purpose, the founding of the group, was for raiding threads, in my understanding. And there's this one lady who lives out in California, and she has a lot of hippy dippy, flower pot headed people that she's friends with on Facebook. Yeah. And she'll troll the crap out of them with her posts and stuff. And then so when they come out to play, we'll raid the thread. So, I mean, I don't participate in this all the time, but once in a while, when this guy comes around named Bob, and the post was something benign about the sexual abuse scandals when it comes to, I don't know, there was that congressman who's running in Alabama, and then was this other person, Al Franken, who was groping people, or our senator Al Franken in Minnesota. and he was like, oh, well, Al Franken did nothing wrong, and this guy was accused of a yearbook thing, and it turned into a big argument about politics and the minimum wage and anarchy versus socialism. And he was saying that socialism works because all the major governments in the world are socialist, like the United States and Sweden and all this stuff. And I was about to make the argument that they're actually more akin to mercantilism or fascism, because you have, these private. What do you think about that? Because you've been studying you haven't been studying mercantilism, have you?
No, I haven't. But this may be a bit of an uneducated thing to say, but I think that there's quite a bit of both going on, because there absolutely is a lot. There's a lot of socialist things that we definitely have. I don't remember what Karl Marx called them, but they're pillars of a socialist society, and we absolutely have them all. But we also absolutely have the kind of economic system that you'd see in a fascist society, one where there's this oligarchy of corporations that all have very strong ties with the government through regulators or through politicians or lobbyists, and who use that in order to stymie innovation in the market and keep themselves in control. And that's not something that I think I'm pretty sure that's not something that's part of socialism. Within a socialist economy, they would ideally just have most everything being owned and run by the government. So I think that there's two things going on. And I think that I would say that we have a fascist economy. I'll be okay describing it like that, but I would not say that we are a fascist country.
Yeah, I agree. And I didn't have time to really unpack it, because I was going to say well, the workers haven't seized the means of production, or they don't own it. But at the same time, you have a series of corporations basically having a monopoly over a certain industry. And you have it, in the pharmaceutical industry, you have it pretty much in banking. I mean, it's not one single corporation, but it's, it's
a couple.
Yeah.
And the difference, I think a big difference is that instead of them being explicitly exalted as this is a great example of banking within our society, and we are going to entrench them in the market through the acts of government in order to make that these great institutions of banking exist and stay there, instead of it being something that is talked about as something that's great, and that these oligarchical corporations are great and are a perfect example of German, for example,
like a fascist system,
German market, like a fascist system. Instead, it's more de facto, in a way. No one who is working in those industries has any desire to change those things. Anyone who's working in those companies or in the regulatory bodies have any desire to change those things. Ideologically, they're not talking about it in a fascist sense, but de facto, it is organized that way.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And then, because for me, in a fascist system, because in Nazi Germany, wasn't there room for small businesses too? So the essential industries would be monopolized by the state, but there was room in the underbelly for white Aryans to own small businesses.
I believe so.
Yeah. So you have that too, but in a mercantilist system, what I was thinking of is because I guess we don't have that today, where the government specifically will give the right to a private organization.
No, yeah, it's watered down.
Yeah,
mercantilism.
It's de facto. Yeah,
but absolutely there is. I don't know if it's happening a whole lot nowadays, but the effects of it are still around. But absolutely every revolution in another country that the United States has had their hands in has been in order to promote American interests. It's been there so that this country will be open to interacting with the United States. And people who are sympathetic to this would probably say that it's this is so we can promote democracy, or we can fight communism. In the Cold War would have been that, but
it's just old-fashioned imperialism.
It's what ends up happening is, some places turn out all right, like South Korea, after a period of time, is now an economic powerhouse. But for a long period of time, it wasn't. And the United States installed a dictator there. It was not it was not created to be a bastion of American-style democracy in Korea. And I'm sure that a lot of other places in the world they were not democracies that were exemplary of like Europe and Western culture, were not instituted there. So it's less explicit, but I absolutely think that mercantilist concept exists.
Yeah. And would lefties identify that as state capitalism?
I don't even know what that means anymore.
Yeah,
like something that I've been wanting to do, because I've been fraternizing actually with some communists. I'd assume, I don't know exactly how they would define themselves, but they're definitely sympathetic to Marxism. I've been fraternizing with some of them on Facebook. Not in a political sense. It's in a group about music. And I want to, in there, be like, all right, commies, defend
come at
the
me.
labor theory of value. Come at me. Like, or things like that. I actually want, because I'm assuming when they say state capitalism, that to them capitalism is defined as how we define corporatism.
Yeah, I would assume the same. I think maybe our good friends at Peaceful Treason, so they've been trying to invite people onto their show and have like actual debates with people that disagree, and I think that's a great idea, but I don't know. Like, I've kind of said that I've given up trying to have conversations. Like, I guess if people want to talk, and they want to come fairly.
I guess I don't think that I don't have expectations of being able to convince anyone. What I want to have is I want to be able to understand their ideology, not understand it in the sense of like agree with it, but like understand what gears are placed where and how they work together. If that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I would want to do that. But any debate is for the audience, and if it could stay civil, then I'd be down. But I just find it counterproductive. But anyways, Peaceful Treason, Jared has Will and Jared. I think that Jared runs the Twitter account, but he reached out to this guy who I used to follow named the Mountain Man. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Are you on Twitter at all?
No, not at all.
Well, I
know it's terrible, but I refuse for political reasons. I guess I'm boycotting Twitter.
Are you on Gab then?
No, I'm not. I'm not on Gab. Is that even a thing?
You are on 4chan. Gab is a thing. How disconnected have you been, Jerry?
Is this like a Twitter alternative?
Yeah, Gab. Our podcast is on Gab. I've dabbled with some memeage, some memeology, but to
the audience, you can't see me cringing, but I'm cringing right now. I just want to say that.
Well, I'm saying this ironically. Come on.
Ironic shit posting is still shit posting.
Memonics. Well, this Mountain Man guy used to be an ANCAP, and he thinks he can defeat all ANCAPs because he used to be an ANCAP and apparently understands it 100% forward and backwards. And I'm being ironic or sarcastic.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely seen people who are anarcho-communists who are like, I used to be an anarcho-capitalist, but not anymore. And then you hear them talking about anarcho-capitalism, and I'm like, I don't think you really understood this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like,
there are, seriously, I think there are people within our movement, and probably this is all that ANCOMs are, mostly. That's a terrible ad hominem, but I think there are actual ANCAPs who have learned all they can. Everything they know about ANCAPism has been learned from memes. There is, in social media, there is a portion of our movement of people like that.
Just taxation is theft and like Hans Hermann Hoppe jokes.
And Hoppy and Snake memes with... and if you are a listener of the show and that is you, watch my top 5 books for the Libertarian Novice. It was just a couple episodes ago. And read them, please. But I'm not shaming you.
I am.
Oh. Shade. Maybe I think you'd be worthy of shaming, I guess, if you are claiming to be an ANCAP and you haven't read, at least economics in one lesson. I mean, honestly, economics in one lesson is like, I don't know. You could win almost every argument with the socialist just having read that book. Perhaps. But yeah. So I don't know if Jared and Will are going to have this mountain man on the show, because he basically said, you're in the wrong neighborhood of Twitter. You best leave. And they were like, well, we just want to talk. And he's like, nope. So
that's unfortunate. I know that I've heard from a lot of people, a lot of journalists, that in general, people on the left are less, and I mean fringe left, saying that we would probably be considered the fringe right, although I don't like being identified as involved in the right wing, but to the layperson, we'd be considered on the right. I know that a lot of journalists have said that for journalists that are neutral on things, it's a lot easier for them to get in contact with people on the right side of the political spectrum than on the left, just because it seems like, I'm trying to think of like a good way to put this, but it's I don't know, it's very much like people on the left they don't have a good face to show. I don't know how else to put it, because I would think that if someone's going to be doing an interview with you, you're like, sweet, this is free publicity. Like, even if this person's going to try to skew and twist what you're going to say, like, people are going to know who you are. Like, no news is bad news. But it seems like a lot of people are not interested at all with being interacted with by people who are not explicitly on the left.
Yeah. So I've noticed that just with this situation. I would assume, ANCOMs in general. But I've just... Funny that I have arrived kind of on the left and right divide topic, because I've been really sticking my neck out there in the last couple episodes trying to classify people within our movement.
Yeah.
And maybe I shouldn't be touching this, but I think there's 4 quadrants within the and I guess I have talked about this in the last few episodes, so apologies. I want to get your take on it though, because
okay, yeah, please, you haven't told me about this at all.
Okay, because we kind of talked about it in like episode 2 of the show, or no, episode 1, the very first, not episode 0, but episode 1, where we were trying to describe the difference between the left and the right and how people come to their ideas. And this was originally your idea that I was trying to articulate in the last few episodes. Mm-hmm. But okay, so this
bring it back to me.
Yeah, so these are the quadrants, right? And then I'll get to the left-right differences. So in our movement, there are 4 quadrants, right? On your extreme left, those who are thick libertarians on the left, who are also ANCAPs, maybe your beltway libertarians like Reason Magazine and stuff, but like your Jeffrey Tuckers, who are trying to attach social justice.
The in air quotes, the Koch brothers libertarians.
Yeah, those types. And so they're the thick libertarians on the left. And then... within closer, there's the thin libertarians on the left, who would be maybe your Larkin Rose or maybe Adam Kokesh, more like hippie type ANCAPs, or maybe your Anarchy Ball would be centrist left thin.
Yeah, but it's kind of like they're thin libertarians, but they're from a progressive culture. Yeah,
and so I've been trying to put people in that box, like our friend Mance Raider, who I've interviewed. I think he's more of the left, but he's a thin libertarian for sure. And then you have your thin libertarians on the right, which would be me, maybe you.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure which side I would be on in that, but I would be definitely on the thin side.
Yeah, but I've been identifying myself more as a centrist, so I'm center right. I'm culturally right, and I'll get into this too.
Yeah.
But the Mises Institute, I would put into thin libertarianism on the right, like your Jeff Deist, maybe your Tom Woods, maybe even a little more right, but still thin. And your Walter Block is on the left of the thin libertarians, and he's with the Mises Institute. So, and then on the thick right, you have your Chase Rachels, your Liberty Hangouts, you're the ones who would be termed alt-right now.
Yeah.
Libertarian alt-right.
Physical removal crowd, you might say.
Yeah, though I do... maybe Hoppe himself would be in this crowd. I don't I need to read more Hoppe, and so does everyone else, God damn it. Even especially people that hate him. Because, there might be a 3% that sucks, but the rest is all good, even from a leftist. So, but we were talking about how in episode 1, libertyweekly.net/1, go listen to it. We were talking about how people come to the theory, and people who are culturally left and culturally right, the difference between how they arrive at decisions, one side is more empathetic and the other side is maybe more analytical.
Yes.
Does that jog your memory?
Yeah, I remember talking about this. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I believe we brought it up talking about how to introduce the liberty movement to people, or how to convince people of ideas, where it was saying people on the left, you should bring topics that are more likely to elicit emotions, for lack of a better way, bring sob stories to them about the injustices being caused by the government. And then people on the right, you're probably more likely to be successful talking about how government action disrupts the economy, or those sort of things,
Okay, yeah. And I see that too, because your people even your thin libertarians on the left tend to be more anti-cop, and you'll see them talking about how much they hate cops all the time and police abuse, which is, necessary criticism coming from them. Yeah, but so I have been talking about this on the last few shows, and I hope because I always start talking about it and then thinking about it later, and then I'm like, oh, I should have said it differently, or oh, I was wrong or something. But for all my listeners, this is the definitive version of events right now.
Until tomorrow.
Yeah, no. No, that's what I miss about you, though, Jerry, is because I always say something stupid and then you clarify it. But, even getting in trouble for me wouldn't be the worst, because, like you said, no publicity is bad publicity. So maybe I should start insulting people. Just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that there are people that, I don't know. I think it's bad form to start fights.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, I would never do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I think that's a very good way to classify that. And maybe instead of it just being, you could think of it, you could probably graph it out in 2 dimensions too, where there's someone on how far they are to the left or the right, and then how thick they are, going up and down. And in a sense, you could think of it like people who are thin, they probably can completely get along with each other no matter how far right or far left they are, outside of their personal lives, like they probably won't want to be roommates. But I would imagine as you go up in thickness, the people on the left and the right will dislike each other more and more.
Yeah, exactly. because even someone like Mance Raider, who is on, and I hate to talk about him because he's a friend and I don't know if he'll listen to this or not, but think very highly of him. He has a lot of great opinions. He will denounce social justice-ism and thickness on the left. So even though I think he's culturally left, he despises social justice as much as anyone else. So that complicates things too.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And that's why I kind of put myself in the center, because I am culturally right, but yeah.
I think I would be very slightly left.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's probably actually pretty normal for us to make a scale and put ourselves in the center of it, because it's very obvious to us who's to the left and the right.
Yeah.
So listeners, you should let us know how wrong we are, and you should let us know where the center of the graph is.
Yeah, no, you really should. Comment or, retweet or something and let us know. Because without feedback, we're just talking out of our asses. Or I am. Yeah, no, I've been waiting because it'd be nice I've been throwing names. I've been hesitant to throw names around, but people that I've talked to already, they can let me know. Because I don't see commentators out there describing the layout. You know what I mean? The spectrum. Yeah. I see them talking about specific people, but not really describing the bigger picture for people. And I think that's kind of important. Kind of a study of the movement itself.
In a sense.
Yeah.
Although I think some people would, in some ways, accurately accurately say that this is like a lot of navel gazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I do think that some of it is appropriate because there are mostly people who are thick on the right frustrate me a lot more than anyone else that I can think of. And there are people who are thick on the right that like it's like, no, I don't want I disagree with this person, and I don't want someone to be like, oh, all libertarians are like this.
And I would feel the same, except I feel it equally, because there was this so yesterday Ben Shapiro, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but one of the lead editors at Reason Magazine tweeted at Ben Shapiro saying that his smug mug needed to be punched in the face repeatedly.
What?
Yeah, and so that infuriates me. And Mans was talking about this and how effing stupid it is. And but then at the same, I'm a little more sympathetic to people on the right who advocate Hoppian physical removal, because I get the sentiment. Although I vehemently disagree with it, I understand, you know? I guess if it's a voluntary libertarian social order, then it makes more sense. But I just kind of disagree a little with the left a bit more. Maybe it's because I went to the University of Minnesota and had to sit through the social or, the cultural Marxism. And yeah. Well, I should probably get going actually here.
All right.
Have you been up all day?
No,
all night?
I got up at noon. Not noon. 9.
Oh, okay.
I got up at 9 a.m. And I'm working overnight Saturday night, so I'm staying up late.
Oh, so you can sleep in tomorrow?
Yeah.
I think we're gonna go hunting tomorrow morning.
Exciting. Hunting what?
Whitetail. Yeah.
Okay. I'm assuming that's like the only thing you can hunt right now. So that probably was kind of a silly question.
Oh, no. Well, I guess in central Wisconsin, maybe. Well, because, I'm gonna take out the M1 Grand, and we'll see if we can, with my blind eyes. I've hunted with the M1 before.
Yeah.
My eyes aren't that bad.
I fucking love it. I love that mental image of, like, it's like, this was made to kill Nazis. And then there's like a deer and you're just like,
well, I'll be honest, it's one of the perfect, like if you're on a deer drive where you have people driving and posters, and it's good to have iron sights, but it's even better to have a semi-automatic 30-06 with iron sights, because then you can just pull it up and you got a beat on it right away, And it's a lot of fun. I shot at a deer once with it, but it was quartering away from me and running through a marsh about 130 yards away. So
yeah, that's a tough one.
I think I might have hit it actually, because I saw it jump. They kind of hunch up when you hit them, but I didn't find any blood and there was no carcass. So feel kind of bad about that, because you want to take a clean kill, but
yeah,
that's just the way it is sometimes. You can't harvest a deer if you don't shoot.
Someone in one of my other gaming groups is a bow hunter for deer, and he got a really good kill recently. It was really neat learning about that. It was good to hear, because he goes hunting at the same time as when we play. So just during the season, we won't be playing unless he gets a deer. So it's always like, come on,
get one. No, that's great.
Deer.
Well, my freaking dad. So my dad has been hunting since he was like 12 years old, and he'd never gotten a buck. Like nothing with a decent rack, nothing big, just like a spiker or a nubby or something like that. And I think he got like a 10 or a 12 pointer when I was in 7th grade. And then he hadn't gotten anything until this year. He shoots a beautiful 9-pointer, a muley, out in Colorado, and then comes back here and shoots like the biggest deer I've ever seen. It's hanging in the garage, and the nose is almost touching the floor, and like the feet are up in the rafters. It's just this monstrous deer, and it's a beauty. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of him happier than his picture with that deer. It's great. But good. Yeah, I need to get done with school so I can start hunting again. But You need to hunt too. Do you have any interest to hunt?
Yeah, absolutely. I have it. It's much more in the. It's kind of more like a prepper perspective, though.
Yeah.
Like I want to learn how to hunt and learn how to like process an animal, because it's like this is something that I think that the hunter-gatherer in me like must come out, and I must be able to do this to be a proper human being. It's kind of silly, but that's sort of my thought. Like I absolutely would want to go hunting.
Yeah, no, that's totally true, because there is something primal about it, when you're out there. And the rush that you get when you see a deer and you can shoot it and you want to, it's a big rush. Unless you're an old, like someone who's been doing it all the time and you're older or something and you got that under control. Sometimes there's no time to get like adrenaline filled, because they just jump out and you just pull a bead up and shoot,
Yeah.
But yeah, there is something very primal about it, like going out and connecting with the woods, and then you realize your place in evolution.
Yeah, you realize your place as the apex predator.
Exactly.
You're like, I'm gonna fucking take you home and eat you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. It's great. So I'm looking forward to doing that tomorrow. But at the same time, I'm not one. It is relaxing to get out in the woods, but to just sit there for hours and hours, I think I'm going to download some podcasts. Sometimes I take out books, but then your hands get cold.
Oh, I bet.
But no, we should, once I move out and get established, we should go hunting sometime. That would be a lot of fun.
My uncle has a dairy farm that has deer on it. So if I don't know where you'd hunt, but we could hunt a place an hour and 45 minutes to the north. I don't know how good it is. I don't know anything about that, but he just says like, yeah, there's deer on my property. And you can totally shoot them if you want to.
Yeah.
Just don't shoot the big buck, because then my neighbors will be pissed. And it's like, okay.
Is it shotgun only out there?
I have no idea.
Okay. Because I know in like South Dakota, I think in rural Minnesota, they have a lot of places that are shotgun only.
Is this like shotgun like with like
slug.
Sabo slugs and stuff? Or
so they don't travel super far on flat ground.
It's pretty hilly over there, so probably not.
Okay.
It's in the middle of the fucking woods. Like,
okay,
it's a pretty cool place.
Probably not then. I wanted to mention the fact that Black Friday is happening and Cyber Monday is coming up too. And one really good way to support the show is to use our Amazon affiliate link. You can access it by going to libertyweekly.net and finding the tab in the horizontal bar that says Amazon affiliate link, and click on it, and it will take you to Amazon, where you can do your normal shopping at no additional cost to you, and also give us a little commission. But you could also get there by typing in libertyweekly.net/Amazon, and it will do exactly that. And
I just want to say consumerism 100% endorsed by Jerry. I absolutely am a consumer. And I love it, and I think you should love it too. It's great.
It gives us the things we need, like HD webcams, through support from our Patreon listeners. I don't know if I told you about this, that we have 5 Patreons, or I have 5 Patreon supporters now.
Yeah,
and I use them.
That's great.
I use the money to buy an HD webcam. So this is independent media, anarchy in action, voluntary exchange. Yeah, but so we have the Libertarian Union as well, the podcasting group that we've been plugging with 8 other shows on it now, because Trey from Subversion Webcast, who Jerry lives in the Twin Cities, that's who I'm gonna try and do an interview with.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah, connecting in real life. But yeah, Trey's super cool. He's a music guy. He plays a lot of. I don't know if he was in a band but his show originally was about like music mainly, but he's also an ANCAP, and he's like, I don't want to put him in a slot, but I think he's like a punk guy. Not really sure. But anyways, so was really glad to have you back on the show, Jerry. I know. Yeah. Are you demoted from co-host now and you're a returning guest or something like that?
No. I am always the co-host.
Okay.
Forever.
Jerry is the co-host.
Yeah. It's part of the contract that we wrote. You remember that? Yeah, you do. You remember?
I don't know. I didn't get it in writing, so
we shook on it. That's good enough.
Was it? Yeah. So, I mean, now that we've done one remotely, it's not like we have to set down 4 hours for me to come over and set everything up and then, chat and leave. But anyway, so you wanna say like a little signing off things? What should I say?
Yeah. Thank you for listening. This is Jerry, the once and forever co-host of the Liberty Weekly podcast, and it's good to be back. For even if we'll see how soon I'll come back after this, but it's been a while since I've done this. It's always fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me host, Pat.
There you go, man. I don't want to click because then I'll get a mic pop, but there you go. Yeah, it was great to have you back. Maybe I just do I need to get on your ass more about?
Yes.
Oh, do I?
Yes.
So I'm welcome to do that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, like I said, now it'll be a lot easier to do it. So, well, I hope that you have a happy Thanksgiving. I know you're probably going to be staying up all night doing awesome things.
Drink and play Dishonored.
Oh, so you're not going to drink and study the North American bison?
I'll do that tomorrow morning.
The bison.
I want to play a video game.
The bison.
That'll be tomorrow.
Yeah, but you're going to play Dishonored, so I'll leave you to it. I think I'm going to have a Jack and Coke nightcap and then hit the hay for hunting tomorrow.
All right.
I'll let you all know if I get anything, but probably won't.
Well, Godspeed and good luck.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
In the early days of the internet, radical libertarians were scattered, lonely, and faceless. Without direction, they resigned to scour the web, sifting through content providers in a wasteland plagued by YouTube demonetization, Facebook jail, and covert internet censorship. But then, in 2017, the Libertarian Union was formed. Finally, the average Joe libertarian could find a thriving community of independent podcasters and content providers, all in one convenient location. At Libertarian Union, we'll always have the latest news, interviews, discussions, and even movie reviews. With hundreds of episodes and more added all the time, you'll always find something fresh at libertarianunion.com.